especially the Ningxia Wolfberry, is not just any wolfberry, okay? So first and foremost, right, there are over 80 different wolfberry species in the world, okay? All of it is found in China, and one of it is a Ningxia Wolfberry. I actually pulled out this PubMed study. It was so interesting. They took out the different wolfberries in China and they did a comparison. So it's a scientists who didn't know about young living. But the interesting thing is that Ningxia, the province, right, is actually renowned in China itself for being the valley of medicine. Because the province there, and that will go into that a bit more details, they have so many therapeutic plants and herbs that the Chinese use it as part of their TCM, the traditional Chinese medicine, okay? But before that, let's go in this particular wolfberry. So the one from China is called Lycium barbarum, okay? Now, if you look at any wolfberry, right, and then you look at a botanical name, they will always tell you that it starts with Lycium. So Lycium barbarum. So barbarum tells you the subbreed, the subvariant of that species for that wolfberry itself. Okay, so the first point, so what's the big deal about fiber? The most fascinating thing I found about the Ningxia wolfberry is that it's a tiny little berry, right? But what happens is that in that little berry itself, over 21% of it is fiber. Okay, so if you compare it to oat bran, because conventionally when people say like, oh, I cannot, my bowel movement is not regular. I often have constipation, and most of the time people will say, oh, if that's the case, you like fiber, you should eat more fruits, vegetables, and take oats or oat bran. Guess what? Actually, this particular wolfberry has double the weight of fiber compared to oat bran. And it is also significantly higher than buckwheat as well. So this wolfberry is already superior in terms of that. So this is also why when people take this particular wolfberry or the Ningxia red drink, right, they could find themselves more regular in going to the toilet to purge out, more regular in the bowel movements, okay? Now, the second point, okay, what is this word? Polysaccharide, what's that? Okay, as a person who has been teaching and educating about the young living products, I personally prefer to make my presentation simple. So I tend to go quite light on science facts. And I try to break it down as simple as possible for laymen like yourself and myself, okay? The one thing that I find very interesting about polysaccharides is because I pull out a number of PubMed studies about this, okay? So they call it in this wolfberry, right, Lycium barbarum polysaccharides, or they call it LBP for short. And they found out there's so many good stuff with it. It is a glyconutrient, and it has, through extensive research, right, they have found out that, and this is again from scientists who are third parties, they are not from Young Living. It is what they do for a living, researching through the different wolfberries in the world. This particular LBP, right, what it does is that it helps to protect the cardiovascular system, so the heart, the lungs. It's also very good for the brain as well. It's also very anti-cancer, anti-inflammatory. And for those who feel that you have friends or family who do have like autoimmune condition, right, this is one of the things that also help them to tune out their body so that they can actually start to recover from an autoimmune condition, okay? And part of these polysaccharides, there's 5 different sugars that is found in this as well. Okay, I think when we talk about like in the natural healing world, we've always said that like, oh, sugar is not good. White sugar is not good, okay? Sugar takes sugar, it creates phlegm, it's not good for your body, you gain weight, and etc., etc. But guess what? In this world, right, there are 8 different kinds of sugar that you need, that your body needs in order for your body to survive. And this sugar, the reason why they are there is because they needed to be able to, they help your cells to communicate to each other, to do all the body functions. And in this particular wolfberry, 5 sugars are actually identified. And the interesting thing is that the 8 sugars, right, currently in this world of like processed food, fast food, a lot of GMO food as well, genetically modified food, it is quite hard these days to find the 8 sugars in abundance. But this particular berry has 5 of them. If you want me to list out the names or even like say out the names of the sugars in this session, let me know. They're science names, and I think when I read them, I didn't understand what they are, but I thought it was super fascinating that it actually has 5 of the sugars that we need for a healthy, thriving body. Okay. Okay, now the next point, zeaxanthin. What is that? So zeaxanthin is actually found in your eyes. Okay. So these days we often do a lot of screen time. It could be that you are working in a computer, you are actually you're working in the computer, you are your kids could be using the computer or their iPads or tablets for homework as well. I mean, I know my kids do that, right? And we are all carrying our phones these days. So zeaxanthin, right, is actually the eyes, okay, the natural blue light filter. So what it does is that it helps to screen and protect our eyes from screen damage from the blue light that is emitting from the screens too. So this particular wolfberry helps you with that as well. Okay. The last thing is also that vitamin and mineral pairings, right? The interesting thing is that a lot of times if you take supplements, the one that I can really talk about is actually iron. Is that especially for those who are pregnant, okay? If you're pregnant, sometimes your gynecologist will say that, sorry, you probably need to take an iron supplement because you're quite low in iron. You need more of that to thrive in your pregnancy. Okay, but the interesting thing is that a lot of supplements that's marketed out there, they are not blended in a way that allow your body to absorb more of it. So what we call bioavailability. So what it means is that, let's say like if someone gives you an iron supplement, you might find that after a while, your poop comes out black. Like it seems like most of the iron came out actually, and your body hasn't really absorbed it well, okay? And if that actually happens, it's also because it needed vitamin D to be paired with iron in order for your body to absorb more of it, for it to have a higher scoring in bioavailability. So for this particular berry, it actually has that it's pairing up the different vitamins and minerals very naturally and very intelligently as well in the berry itself. And in one of my later slides, I will show you what the pairings look like. Okay, so this is what I want to talk about for the wolfberry. I thought it was super fascinating, and that's why I want to share about this thing.